the all-new Chapman Radio.
Oh, and first pitch crushing!
Tune in to Panther Insider on Tuesdays at 6 p.m. on ChapmanRadio.live.
Welcome back to Panther Insider here. We are back on February 20th, episode 2 of the spring 2024. Great to be back, and we've got our first guest for you tonight. It's a packed house in here. Me, Parker, Alejandro, and we are joined...
Steven.
That's just some muscle memory right there.
Woo,
Yikes.
throwback.
Not Parker, Steven. That's some muscle memory.
We miss you, Parker.
But we are joined by Kaylie Smith, a junior here at Chapman on the track and field team, and also a fellow broadcast journalism and documentary student with Steven and I. So someone else that we've all been together since orientation week. So Kaylie, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, glad you could make it. When Steven texted today that you were coming on, I was like, perfect. Yeah. I always forgot that that you were on the track team, and then I was like, oh yeah, that works great. Have a lot to talk about. You're also involved in CSBN, so lots to talk about tonight. But yeah, if you just want to start by kind of introducing yourself, and then we'll get rolling.
Sure. So like you said, I am a junior broadcast journalism documentary major. I have a minor right now in visual effects, and I am on the track and field team. I'm also involved in CSBN, and yeah, it's just been a great time here at Chapman. Been able to do both the sport I love and also pursue career aspirations, so it's been great.
Love it.
So you run track. What events do you run specifically?
So that's kind of a hard question because usually like my main events are the 400 meters and then the 4x4 relay and also the 4x1 relay. Okay. But I'll do every sprint event. So I'll do like the 60-meter dash for indoor season just once every season. So I'll just do it one time and then never do it again. Same thing with the 100-meter dash as well. It's not a dash. It's just a 100-meter sprint.
Yeah.
I'll do that like once or twice and then never do it again that whole season. But I also do run the 200.
Yeah, congrats too. I also saw you ran 8 seconds in the 60-meter dash recently.
Yes, so I did.
Really awesome.
I held the school record for about a week since I ran that. And then it just got broken this past weekend at Northern Arizona University, the NAU tune-up. So someone ran sub-8, which was really exciting. Wow. It needed to be broken. It should not have been 8 seconds.
And that's something. One thing you'll never hear Kaylee talk about is, because I know she doesn't like to brag, but went to nationals.
I did.
So talk about that. How was that experience?
It was really cool. I'm a big traveler, so I really enjoyed traveling. A lot of D3 schools that we see are from the East Coast. So nationals naturally are on theEst Coast. So the NCAA will fly out anyone that's more than 400 miles away. So we got a free ticket to New York this past. So that was really exciting. The experience was awesome because it's like we never see some of these schools. We usually only see the people in our conference. That's who we really compete against. And then occasionally we do travel and compete against D1 schools just because we need more competition over on the West Coast area.
Yeah.
So to see just these brand new D3 schools that are from like the Midwest, the East Coast, all over there was just really exciting. And it was so cool to see.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and you chose to stay in Orange County. Kaylee is also a 714 representative like myself. So was that a big reason why you came to Chapman, wanted to stay local, or what made you want to come here?
Yeah, so I was actually debating between 3 schools, and they were all over the map, like everywhere. So it was either Chapman, it was going to be Boulder in Colorado, or Emerson in Boston. Literally every single place in
East
you
Coast,
could
Midwest,
imagine.
and West Coast.
Yeah, exactly. But I realized that I ultimately wanted to put my career first, and I did want to explore film, and Chapman being the number 4 film school in the nation, which is really awesome. That was kind of ultimately where I made my decision, and I also did file in track as a factor as well. There was no way I was going to be able to walk on Boulder's team after never running track before, so that also kind of filed it out. And Boulder also, even though they do have a strong sports journalism program, I don't know about their film school, so that was kind of a factor. I also didn't tour Boulder. I toured Emerson, and something about that is that their dorms overlooked a cemetery, and I was a little nervous. I was like, I don't know if I want Samuel Adams haunting me while I do homework. So
Fair enough.
That was also something. And I know that Chapman doesn't have a track, but Emerson really doesn't have facilities.
Yeah.
It's like everything's at a high school. Like everything.
That's hang on. I just have to ask about that. She said she didn't run track before.
Right.
Wow. So what made you decide you wanted to run here?
Yeah, I don't know. I've always enjoyed running. Growing up, I was always in positions in sports where I was in running positions.
Yeah.
And then when COVID hit and they took away our sports seasons, I just kind of started running around the town, running around my city, and I was like, oh, like I can do this still. Like this is still good. And it was just really, really fun to do. And I always like trying new things, so I was like, oh, like why not give track a shot? Like I've always been kind of fast. Like I'll try it.
So once you committed to Chapman, were you like then thinking, okay, I'm gonna run?
Yes.
And so was that like walk on basically, and did you reach out like in the spring, the fall, or the summer, like once you got here?
Yeah, so once I was accepted, it was kind of funny because Chapman was the first school I got into because I thought that I didn't apply to film production. I applied to broadcast and documentary. And so I thought the early admission in November was like to go to like Chapman. And I was like sweating like, oh my God, I got to get everything in. But it was just for film production.
Yeah, exactly.
So I heard back in December and I was like, whoa,
yeah.
that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I realized, but I was like, oh, okay. But yeah, as soon as like that happened and I kind of finished off my senior lacrosse season, I was like, oh, like I need to like think about like the next steps. Like, what do I want to do after?
Yeah.
Because I definitely still want to run track.
Yeah.
And my freshman year was like they had transitioned coaches like over the summer, so it was like a new coach, and so I reached out to like the old coach, and he didn't respond clearly because he's not here anymore. And so I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So then I reached out to the cross country coach who's been here for a while. He didn't get back to me, and I was like, oh no, I'm like, oh, this is disastrous. And so then I finally like saw on Instagram, they're like, oh, like welcome our new head coach, and I was like, oh, this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like stalking like crazy. I was like, where's the email? Let me find it. So I found that. I reached out, and then during O week, he was like, yeah, like come, let's go talk to my office. I was like, cool, awesome.
Yeah.
So you could say I was like his first recruit, not really, because like I was like the first. He was like the first person that he had met at Chapman. So I like walked up to the office. I was like, hey man, please give me a chance. I really want to run. And I just remember him going like, yeah, as long as you finish, like, I'm happy with it. And I was like, okay. I'm like, do people not finish their races? Like, oh my God. Like, how brutal is this gonna be?
It gets intense out there.
I know. I was like, oh my gosh. And then he was like, yeah, like just enroll in like our classes. It was like a PE class almost. And I was like, oh gosh, I'm like, I have to move my Spanish class from 9 a.m. to 8 a.m. now to like make it.
Yeah.
But it was so worth it. It was so worth it. And
how'd you decide then what events to run? Or like at what point were you like, okay, I'm kind of this mid-distance?
So it was kind of funny because I had no idea. I had like actually like no idea. And so he always gave out these goal sheets, like it's a little packet, and you fill out like, oh, like what do I want to achieve? Yeah. And so it was like some of the questions were like, oh, list your times, list your marks. I'm like, none, none. Yeah. And so then another thing was like, oh, like what events are you interested in? And I was like, oh, like distance, like the 200. The 200 is not distance. No. Distance is like the mile. Yeah. And so I just was like writing like in cursive, like random things, like that didn't make sense probably. Yeah. And so then I did like a one-on-one practice because apparently I also couldn't run correctly. I would always like run on my toes because I was very used to like fast movements from like lacrosse and soccer. Yeah. And so he was like, yeah, you got to get rid of that. You can't run on your toes. This is
go on the balls of your feet.
Yeah, exactly. And I would also stand like inward, and he would literally like be like, get your knees like out, like do not stand like that. Yeah. And so finally I like learned how to run correctly, and he was like, okay, like after like trial and error,
like a baby gazelle.
Yeah, literally. He's called me like an uncoordinated baby giraffe. So yeah, we've evolved since then.
Good.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I remember, I don't know if you guys know what wickets are. They're like the little like bright orange hurdles. And so he'd put them at like a distance, and my stride length is very long, and he was like, all right, you're doing the 400. Yeah. And so I had no choice. So here we are now.
The rest is history.
Yeah.
So what's the training regimen like? Because I know you also do sprints, like you mentioned, but you're a mid-distance runner. So do you end up training a lot more with the mid-distance runners in terms of like also the 800 runners and pushing into that point, or do you guys kind of separate off? How's the practice look?
So my races are directly in the middle of like everything,
Yeah.
where it's still important to use blocks, but it's not necessarily like miles that we need to run all the time.
Yeah.
So every Sunday we get a training plan, and it's like, okay, sprints, hurdlers, long jump, jumps, all that. And so it very much varies because it's like we have pre-competition period, competition period, and it just all depends. So every Sunday we get our training plans with running, and we also get like our weight training plan. So it's very much schedule every day we have something. But I would say a lot of it, it's either like, it ranges from like 600s, 500s, 300s, 400s, but also 150s, sometimes 200s. I think last week we had it was a 500, 450, 400 workout, and it was like, I think it was 20 minutes in between full rest, but it was at 90% that we ran it. So it depends, because it's like, it's either like really short and you have less rest, or it's kind of longer, extensive tempo with longer rest in between.
The thing I keep coming back to is how you didn't run track whatsoever in high school, but basically seemed to play like every other sport. But what was like the first thought that went through when you joined the track team here to find out that we don't have our own track, that you guys have to go practice at the local high school?
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny because I remember showing up. It's funny. Okay, so the first day I showed up, and the classes that he had me enroll in, like the little because technically we only, like, mandatory practice my first year was in the springtime because that's when we, like, compete.
Yeah.
Now it's, like, much sooner. It's, like, October is, like, mandatory practice. But these classes were just kind of, like, the preface because he was new.
Yeah.
And we were all new. Well, I was new, like, first of all. But, sorry, what was the question again?
Like, how's it been like with
the
Chapman
track.
not having our own track? Yeah.
That's right. It's funny because that wasn't even, like, my first thought because we had these classes. First of all, I thought it was, like, just a track class. The softball team was there. And I was like, like, the very first day, like, you know how it's, like, freshman U, very first day of class. I walk up, and I sat next to this girl, and I'm like, what events do you run? And she goes, I do softball. I'm like, what? And then my very first friend, she came and she sat down next to me. I'm like, do you play softball? She goes, no, I run track. I'm like, oh, thank God. I'm like, I'm not, like, the only, like, odd dog out here. And so that was, like, the first experience. So, like, the first one was just kind of, like, fitting in and seeing, like, kind of watching everybody, too, because everybody on the team had mainly done track before. The only other exception was my friend Proud. She's from Thailand. She ran on a dirt track, but that was a little different.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and then looking at the track, it's kind of funny because my initial thought was like, oh, is this how we're going to have home meets? Like on a little square of a track out here? We don't have home meets, but it's always fun because when we do practice at Wilson Field, he'll set up cones to like mock the curve and everything. So we run on like these cones, like on the turf, which is also nice for your shins.
Yeah.
So that's always like really great. But yeah, he's like, yeah, I've always like asked people if they want to come to our cone track for like a track meet. No one wants to. And I was like, we would kill everybody that would come to our home meet.
It's too unfair.
The home field advantage.
Yeah, exactly. But going to I thought it was really cool though, because the track is right next to the freshman dorms, and it's a blue track. Which is really fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought it was really cool. But it's also a really hard track. So it's like the first time I think I went over there, I got immediate shin splints. And I was like, oh my God, I'm falling apart.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I don't know. It's not a factor. I mean, there's people that have better facilities, but they do worse than us. So I mean, us going to the track doesn't mean anything. We're doing the same workouts as everybody.
Right. Exactly.
So how's the timeline work too with the entire season? Because I know there's rest weeks, load weeks, and then, you know, obviously there's kind of the middle points in between. You know, currently where are you guys at right now? And then, you know, where does it usually start to kind of pick up?
Yeah, so we start this year, let me think. I think this year we started September 11th. And then from there on, we start training. We get in shape. I see you laughing over there. I know it was a really bad day to start. But
Steve and I had the same thought.
I saw the eye contact and I was like, oh.
Move on quick.
Yeah. But till December, and December is when we host our inter-squad meet, because
Okay.
a lot of schools are it's cross-country season mainly, so we're focusing on that. But we progress until there, and we have our inter-squad meet, which is kind of like where we see where we're really at.
Yeah.
And we do just our own meet, like ourselves. And we compete against each other. We have a white and a red team, and we all like wear our like colors. And you just compete with your team. And there's a big trophy and everything. It's really fun. It's very much like a culture thing to get us all really amped up.
Yeah.
But last year was the first year that we did indoor season. And so now we do indoor and outdoor season.
Okay.
So last year was kind of like the learning curve, because we were all like, oh my God, like 300-meter track, what is that? 200-meter track, that's so weird. Just because you're not supposed to run on a 400-meter track for indoor, because it's indoors.
Yeah.
But then again, because we're on the West Coast, there are no indoor tracks
Exactly.
Yeah.
because the weather's so great.
Exactly.
So we have to travel for those meets.
Where did you travel to?
So last year we traveled to NAU, and then this past weekend we actually traveled back to NAU. I'm still recovering from the elevation, as you can probably hear. Oh my gosh! But and then not this weekend, but the next weekend we're going to Wartburg, Iowa,
Okay.
Oh,
to
wow.
compete there, and that's our kind of like the last chance before nationals, which will be on the East Coast again. I
Yeah.
think that's in Virginia Beach,
Nice.
which will be really exciting. But going back to your question, a long circulation here. You go from the pre-competition periods, we have heavy lift and stuff in the fall and everything, and then it lightens up as we start competing, and it's more quicker movements. But yeah, we start training to indoor, and that ends about like March, April, and then it's all outdoor marks from there. And then May is when we go to nationals, if we qualify, if people qualify, and we go till there. So it's kind of like a grind nonstop.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do have a break in spring break. Like we just have to come back that Thursday, and then we recover, and then we have Thanksgiving break all off, winter breaks all off,
Yeah.
and then we come back. But you're still supposed to stick to the training plan.
Those are good recovery weeks.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
That's awesome. That's much needed.
Yes, for sure. I agree.
What are some of your like tactics? I mean, obviously, like you just said, especially now with doing indoor season, that runs straight into outdoor season. Like, what are some ways of like taking care of your body and like making sure you're still healthy and ready to go for these meets, especially when the seasons just stack up on each other?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely a game in listening to your body.
Yeah.
And our coach is really great about listening to your body. I've been so sick the past 2 days, so I have not been to practice yet. So I'll be back tomorrow, but I just needed like 2 days off,
Yeah.
especially from the travel and everything. That just really killed me. So off there, and then we also do pool workouts. So if you can't take the pressure of like hitting like the ground with your feet as much anymore, and that affects like your shins, your quad,
Yeah.
your hamstring, anything, we can do aqua jogging in the pool, which is really fun. The swim team makes fun of us. They're
Yeah.
like, "What are you doing like in the pool?" Yeah, literally.
aerobics.
It's literally like a floaty around you, and you're
Yeah.
like running like in the pool.
Yeah.
So it just takes off the pressure, but it still strengthens you.
Okay.
And then we'll also have like bike workouts if you want to do that. It's just like he schedules in rest days. Like we kind of front load our weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like we do the hard workouts like Monday, Tuesday, and then rest a little bit, do like minor things later in the week. So it's not just constant,
Yeah.
like the same
Yeah.
tempos, everything. Just because then we'll have like our real like workout, which is like the meet on like Saturday or Friday, depending on when it is.
Okay.
And then it's funny because this is like stirred up like debates on the team. But then on Saturday, or not Saturdays, the day after the meet, or just like the Sunday, every Sunday we have recovery runs.
Yeah.
So it's like the 45-minute runs without stopping, and
Yeah.
then like 30-minute runs if you're not a long sprinter.
That sounds like my actual workout.
That doesn't sound like a recovery.
And people are like, why do I have to run more? Like, I thought it's recovery, but
Yeah.
I've come to realize that it is so important to do those recovery runs just
Yeah.
because
Loosen
it's
up the
just,
body.
it loosens up all the lactate that you've built up and just gets the body ready to front load again the next week.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's like,
That's a long time.
let me go run again.
I will say though, 45 nonstop is crazy. I think.
Yep.
That is just like I don't know
Yeah,
if I
I
can
mean,
do
if
that.
you're going at
Yeah.
like even if it's recovery, so you're going at a 9-minute pace.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, no, in for my high school baseball team, that's how we always like started the season to like get us back in shape. We do
Yeah.
like those nonstop runs, but they'd be like 10, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
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 Well, at the beginning, every Thursday we had a 15-minute run.
okay.
So that was like shorter. And then
Yeah.
it progressed into like, okay, that's your recovery on like Sunday.
So then I have to know, what is your conditioning type of workouts? What kind of conditioning workouts do you guys do to get in shape at the beginning of the season?
You want me to read you what we have this week?
Oh,
I can
this is
tell you.
good.
Here we go.
Here, let me pull it up. Now I haven't done it yet, just because like I've just been like sick.
Yeah.
But I can tell you, my roommate. I live with two of my teammates.
Okay.
My roommate. So honestly, all three of us kind of do different workouts because I live with one short sprinter. My other friend Allie, she's like the same as me, except she's been really hurt from like the fall till now. So she does more longer tempo workouts, so it's not as much strain on the body.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, the longer ones are like less strain, which is really interesting. But today she was telling me like, oh my God, like this was the hardest workout I've ever done. And I was like, oh, can't go to practice. And you're telling me that. But
Guys,
she was like,
my sickness.
Yeah,
has
my
just
sickness kicked back in. Yeah.
yeah.
The plane.
I know. So I can. Oh wait, I don't act like I'm having a watch on. I usually do have a watch on, but I don't. But today's the 20th, right?
Yeah.
6:27 if you want to
Okay.
check.
So workout A was 5 times technical wickets, 3 times core circuit, 8x200 at 60%, 2 minutes rest in between.
8x200.
Yeah. And 60%, that's probably for me like 30 seconds each.
Yeah,
You
okay.
run it in.
It's about my 100.
And then workout B was 3x30 dribble progressions, block starts, work on progression, 5 times technical wickets. And then, let's see. And then the workout C was, wait, am I reading the right plan? Let me make sure. Yes, I am. Okay. Workout C was 3x40 reverse sled pulls, 3x30 side sled pulls, 3 times core circuit, and workout D was 3 times ox lift, original one. So basically, we have so many workouts just because everyone's at a different place. Some people are hurting more than others.
Yeah,
So he kind of like helps you like, hey, like these are the options.
Okay.
But usually he'll tell you like, okay, you're doing that.
Yeah.
Like you don't have a choice.
You have
Like if
to
you're
do
fine,
this.
you're not doing the core circuit. But I think my friend today, we also like have some days where we like switch the workouts on certain days. Just depends. So my roommate today, she did workout B from yesterday, just because you can push a workout. So she pushed it to today, and so she did 3x500 at 80% at 8 minutes rest, 300 at 80%, and you finish with 4x150s at 90% with 2 minutes rest.
Dang.
Only 2 minutes.
Yeah. So that one would have been a toughie, and then tomorrow is more, tomorrow's a little fast, but we'll see how that goes.
Right back into it.
Yep, with the rain and everything.
Yeah,
Never
exactly.
stops.
Even better. Kind of want to transition a little bit, like academics-wise, you kind of touched on, like, that's the main reason you wanted to be here at Chapman. How have you found kind of the balance between, or, like, have you found that, like, deciding to come here was like the right decision? And then also I'm kind of curious, like, how have you found that balance between balancing your academics and like focusing on your career, but also like putting the effort into track and in your career, in like being able to run and everything like that?
Yeah, so the greatest thing I would say, I know that we're D3, but we train like D1 athletes. We have the exact same training plan.
Yeah.
We have, like, I see like, like the workout Wednesdays on like some of like D1's programs. They have like stuff like Texas, or like if you watch NC State, they have really cool workout Wednesdays. The exact same thing that we do.
Yeah.
Very similar. We have same training plans, but the great thing about D3 is it's a business model where you can still pursue your career and stuff while doing athletics and training at a high level.
Yeah.
So the great thing about my coach is he's always like career first. Like if you have something career-wise, you need to do that first.
Yeah.
So he's been really awesome about and he knows that I'll work out on my own as well. Like we've like gathered that trust and everything. And so he's been really great. The past 2 years I've been helping out with the PGA Tour. And that's like 5 days I'm gone.
Yeah.
Like I'm not here anymore.
Right.
But he's like, hey, like here's your plan that you can do. Like while you're there, like after you're all done, just do this.
Yeah.
So he's let me leave, which is really awesome. We have a really strict plan of like, you need to show up to practice, you have to communicate. And because that's like something career-based and everything, he's like, go do that. Like, that's good. And here's like the training plan to go with you. And then when you come back, like, I'm still expecting you not to be like out of shape.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, this is like what you need, like what you can do. I remember last year he was like, oh, do you want a kettlebell to take with you? I'm like, in my suitcase? Like, I'm like, let me just chuck that in the back of the car. Like, oh my God.
It's an interesting find for a TSA.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly what I was
Could you
thinking,
imagine?
too.
Oh my gosh.
Your bag's overweight.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I know why.
yes.
Here's 10 pounds.
Oh my gosh. I
Excuse me,
know.
man, what do you plan on doing with this?
Just some swings. They're like, what? No, literally. But and then this past year was really awesome because I was grateful to be accepted into our Community Voices documentary filmmaking program. And for that, you have a certain amount of money and you can travel anywhere and make a documentary. And so with that, I'm going to be traveling. I'm not going to be here training all the time. And so at the very beginning in like September, we like sat down, he had a notepad and pen out, and he was like, all right, let's talk about this. And I was like, yeah, like this is like what we're scheduling, and this is like when I think we're gonna be gone and all that. And just as long as like you communicate in advance about everything, which also just sets up life skills as well, that you have to be an effective communicator.
For sure.
You can totally like work around everything. And
Yeah.
because that's like so far in advance and he knows, he's like, yeah, like for sure, like that's all good. Now, if it's like the night before and you're like, I'm not going to be at practice, he's like, what? Like, when did you tell me this?
Yeah.
So it's just about effective communication, which you can just take away as a life skill as well. And
No,
it's
for
just,
sure.
it's been good. But yeah, and because of that, I think Chapman was the right choice as
Yeah.
well.
I want to touch back on the community voices because I found out that you had joined that like about a month ago, and I had to double check. I was like, "Is Kaylee on the documentary path?"
Yeah.
Because I was like, I totally thought she was broadcast. My friend Zoe,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
our friend Zoe Franklin, she said, "Oh no, she's broadcast. She's doing it as an elective." And I had just, because one of my roommates, Angel Mendoza, is in Community Voices in the same
Angel.
class, and gosh, the effort that they put in, and Kaylee's, I mean, it's an elective class, but Kaylee's not even on that path. And I heard that, I was like, I don't know where you find the time to do everything you do, and then still
goodness.
have time to, like, for example, come in today on a very short notice. How have you, like, progressed from freshman year to now in, like, balancing that work, school, athletics life?
Oh my gosh, freshman year is a hot mess. Holy moly. I'm not the person I was back then. I was very like frantic, and it was just like, how much can I do all at once? Like I need to do everything to like have a good pathway. That's so not true.
Yeah.
And I found that just doing the things that you want to do just makes it so much easier to like schedule. So it's like, I want to be making a documentary. I want to be doing broadcasts. I want to be doing this. This is super cool. And it's like, you just find angles and you find time. And of course, you're going to have, like, factors that, like, prevent you from doing things like sickness, like, things that you can't, like, help or anything like that. And you'll have class at, like, certain times. But it's, like, just scheduling things around. And I also schedule very, like, particularly. Like, I have no Friday class, but I have a Saturday class, which is crazy.
Interesting choice.
Well, okay, that one wasn't a choice. That one was, like, I had to.
Okay.
But no Friday class, so it's like Fridays. And then Tuesdays, I made it deliberate to like have my afternoons free just because Monday and Wednesday, I lift in the afternoon. Tuesdays, I have one morning class and I have morning practice and I'm done. I also have work at 1 to 4, but I'm done. And usually I get homework done on like Tuesdays and Fridays. And maybe Sundays sometimes.
Okay.
So it's like I have like a balanced schedule where I'm not necessarily doing homework every day, or I do have the flexibility to do a little bit every day, but it's like those are my main work days where I'm able to just do all that.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Like, the more busy you are, you find time to find those, like,
Yes.
Zoe referred to as pockets of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where, like, I feel like sometimes, like, oh, I have no time to do something.
Yeah.
Then I'm, like, scrolling on my phone.
Yeah,
for, like,
yeah.
over an hour.
It's definitely pushing your time management. Like I remember like just sitting out here like 15 minutes before and I was shooting an email. I was like, how do I do this really fast? And then like that's something that's off my plate. And like after this, like before the meeting tonight, I'll definitely be I'll finish like some like response I have to do. So then that's out of the way. Or it's like I'll save that till like tomorrow because it's not due till I enter class. So it's like prioritizing sleep as well.
Exactly.
Okay, on one note, you just mentioned the meeting too. So you are also very involved in CSBN.
Yes.
So I'm kind of curious, like, what that experience has been like for you, especially wanting to go the broadcast route. What's that experience kind of been like for you?
Yeah, so Steven gives me a hard time because I don't go to the meetings sometimes. Actually, most of the time. I show
Kaylee
up.
Smith has come to a CSBN meeting?
Everyone
I
pull
know.
up. Everyone pull up.
I know everyone like stands as I enter. It's like a whole thing, no. But just because they are at like 10 p.m.
Yeah.
and I have morning practice, so
Right.
it's like, oh my god, like I don't know if I can like do that.
Yeah.
So it's like I'll go to like my annual like 2 meetings, and I'll get the information from like the website, or like I'll ask someone and I'll be like,
Yeah.
okay, like I'm free this week, and like what's the game, like what's the move there, like I'll just do it. But it's like, I really try to like stay up to date with CSVN even
Yeah.
though I don't go to the meetings.
Yeah.
But then there's like certain times where like Emily asked me like, hey, can you please like do a presentation on girls lacrosse just because like you know a lot about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right,
Yeah, yeah.
let me get my cold brew, let me get my fills, and we'll go to the meeting
Yeah.
and we'll do it. So I always really enjoy that as well. And it's like if like if she needs me to go, like, I'll go for sure. Or
Yeah.
if, like, anyone else. I mean, okay, if you're like, Kaylee, like, pull up. Like, I'm not just gonna, like, pull up. Like, I'll pull up for, like, a reason. But, like, I'm not gonna, like, sit there and go, oh, like,
Yeah.
asleep in my chair. But, yeah, it's always a fun time. And I do, like, every time I show up to the meetings, I'm like, wow, I'm like, this is really awesome. I missed this. And then it's, like, 12 p.m. and I'm like, oh, God. Like, oh, man. So, but, yeah.
Good.
I don't know if that
good.
answered your question.
No, that totally did. That totally
Okay,
did. I
okay,
just
okay.
kind of wanted to touch on it because you brought it
Yeah.
up. So yeah. Let's see here. I'm curious, like, for you. I know that, like, I guess. Let's go here. Career-wise, like, what's your, like, kind of vision with, like, the broadcast route? Or you want to do, like, live broadcasts, things like that? Like, what's kind of your vision there?
Man, that's always a toughie to answer
Yeah, I know.
because But I've thought about this a lot, and I
Uh-huh.
would really love to do. If I'm in the position where I'm offered like a control room position,
Uh-huh.
I'd love to do producing or like replay.
Yeah.
I think those are like my favorite things
Mm-hmm.
to do there. But I'm also really interested in doing like longer form content within
Yeah.
sports. So like NFL 360, I
Yeah.
really like the like longer versions of things, focusing on individual players and like their stories. Still staying within like the sports broadcast realm, but I've also come to realize that like feature packages that you throw on like ESPN
Yeah.
or other things like that, they're so short.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like 3 minutes long,
Right.
like max, like
Yeah.
maybe like usually 1:30 to like 2 minutes.
Uh-huh.
And it's like there's so much more that can be said in like longer form
Uh-huh.
stories. So I also really enjoyed that, but I also do love organizing and I do like like producing things. So it's like either or, like I would be happy with.
Yeah,
like,
no, for sure. That was like on that note. It was like I'm still trying to figure it out. Like my mom the
Yeah.
other day, or like a month ago, was like, "So like, when do you start looking at jobs?" And I was like,
You're like, oh, no.
a year from now, okay?
Yeah,
I don't want to
yep.
think about it right
Like,
now.
not right now.
Like,
I'm trying to pass my class.
exactly.
yeah.
Well, that's also like kind of going alongside documentary a little bit too in terms of like
Yeah.
sport, like doing those like NFL 30,
Yes.
you know, and all that kind of stuff.
So that's also kind of funny because I know Zoe had mentioned like, oh yeah, like Kaylee's in my doc production class and all that. It's because through Community Voices as well, like making documentaries, I realized how much I miss that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So the prerequisite for the doc pathway is doc production. So I'm taking that this semester instead of, I dropped social media journalism and I'm taking it in the spring. Just because
I envy you.
just because that's
We're not bad mouthing classes.
good to know. I'll do it when I get there.
They enjoyed the class. They enjoyed the class.
Yeah. Manifest that. But I chose to do that this semester just because I wanted the option if I did want to go the doc pathway. Because then I had all the prereqs. Because I do have all the prereqs for broadcast. But I also wanted to like have the decision to make if I wanted to pursue like a documentary story that I wanted to tell like by myself
Yeah.
in thesis, or if I wanted to do the broadcast route and still stay in the control room. Because oh my god, it's so hard because like
Yeah.
both pathways are so interesting to me that it's just like oh man, I'll cross that that ridge when I get there.
Do both.
I'll see.
Oh my god, could you imagine
Jeez.
me doing
Well,
both? Oh
maybe I'll see you in the fall in thesis then.
yeah, we'll see. So whew.
Yeah. No,
Well,
that's
I don't
good.
even want to think about that.
No.
And you know, talking about these like different pathways you want to pursue, how has being on like the track and field team, how has it helped? Has it made you want to go towards one path, made you want to go towards the other? How has it helped you, your sport, and what your career aspirations want to be?
Track and field's really interesting because it's co-ed. So there's guys and girls, and everyone's from like a diverse background because you just talk to them all the time.
Yeah.
And you get so close to the people in your event group, and then we go out and support cross country, and you get to know everybody else there
Yeah.
too. So it's like you just find all these individual stories, and you're like, wow, like you're kind of cool, like you're awesome, like you would make a great story. Like that's like
That's
my
the
mentality.
storyteller in
I'm
you,
like,
yep.
you're free next week. You get an interview.
I can make money off of your
Yeah.
documentary, baby.
It's just also, yeah, oh my gosh. But it's also just kind of fascinating just because our track program and as a whole would make a great documentary.
Yeah.
Just because it's like before, no, I'm not saying I'm the cause. I am not the cause. Oh my gosh. But like before I came to Chapman, our track team was like 12 people and like really awful. Like I'm talking like finishing like 8th in like Skyak. Like
Jeez.
not good.
Yeah.
And last year was like I don't remember where we finished my freshman year, but last year we finished like 5th and 4th in all of SCIAC.
Yeah.
And this year we are so much stronger than we were originally that we have a chance at winning SCIAC this year.
Wow.
And it's just kind of like the rags to riches story. We don't have a track. We have nothing. Like we can do it. We can
So
do
good.
You
it.
got cones.
Yeah.
You got cones.
We got cones on the track. But we have so much heart and we have so much community and just like team effort.
Yeah.
And everyone wants to be. It's not like high school when you had like some people that are like, oh, practice today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, awful. And they're like sleeping on the field and you're like, what are you doing? Like everyone wants to be there and everyone wants to put in the work, which is really awesome.
Yeah.
And there is no like team. It's interesting because there is no team drama. There is no team toxicity. Everyone wants to help you be better. Like everyone will record your vlog starts and they're like, oh, like your shin angle should be like this and this and this, and your first step should be out here. Everyone wants to help. And of course, it's not like me telling you what to do. Like, oh my God, like listen, like that. No. It's very much like, hey, can I give you advice? And it's like, yeah, like I want to hear it because sometimes you don't want to hear it. But it's just like everyone wants to be better, and we all know that we all have to help each other in order for like all of us to succeed.
Yeah.
And
That's awesome.
to ask the question I think everyone probably has on their mind now is how do you guys grow and bond so well as a team to have that community?
Especially with so many people, too.
Yeah, exactly. And, and different events where you guys split off, do separate workouts. How do you guys find time to, bond, kind of mesh, create that great community that's, brought you guys up to the top?
Yeah, it's really hard sometimes, but I think a big part is including the freshmen because it's like that's kind of wish what I had because all of the freshmen bonded together my freshman year. But it's like we had no upperclassmen and there were no upperclassmen before us. We're the upperclassmen that like help each other now and that help like kind of set the tone because it's like you're all a little squirrely your freshman year. You're like, oh, like just showed up an hour late to practice. Like, what are you doing? Like, you can't do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like we have beach days. Even when we go on trips and everything, our room assignments are like with someone new. And so it's like you just get to talk and you get to know them and you get to like understand like what they like. So when we just got back from NAU, I was rooming with such a nice little freshman. She's a jumper. So like I never like would see her at practice just because she's doing her thing in the sand pit and I'm doing my thing on the track. Completely different things.
Right.
And so it's just like that and also just bonding on these trips as well. And you just gotta be friendly to people. Like, you just say hi to them. You see them walking, you're like, hey, how's it going?
Right.
And they're like, oh, like, hey, how's it going? And like we have like little get-togethers at people's houses, and you just bond there. You include everybody, and then we always like to bond at like workouts. So it's like I don't know if you know what Lions Field is. This is like, it's not initiation, it's not hazing. Let me make that very clear. It's not hazing. No, we don't like hazing. It's not that. But it's like you're on the team when you do a workout at Lions Field. So like we get there and it's like these stairs. This is like where we all bond because it's like suffering bond. But in a good way.
Bonding.
In a good way.
Yeah, exactly.
And Lions Field is like, it's stairs. Like you're running stairs. Except you start out like this, stairs, and then there's like a dirt pathway. You run on the dirt pathway, and then you go up stairs, and then the incline goes like this.
Oh, wow.
And you're like high-kneeing up the stairs trying to get to the very top.
Yeah.
And then you get there, and you're like, oh my God, I gotta do that 4 more times. So you do that, and it's just like such a fun time, though, because it's like us as upperclassmen, we're like, Lions Field Day. So excited. Yeah. Not initiation. but
You want to prep it?
but just like one of the most memorable workouts. And you all just, and even in like warm-ups too, like not even like Lions Field, but it's like you talk about people like, how are your classes? What major are you? How's it going?
Right.
And they're like, oh my God, my presentation. Or it's like, oh my gosh, like all these things. And it's just fascinating to hear from other majors too.
No, for sure.
Everyone's at different majors.
Yeah.
So
Wow,
it's just really cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
so cool. I mean, I'm kind of like stuck on that right now. Just thinking about the Lions Field and then running up those stairs right now.
Yeah. Oh my
goodness.
gosh.
That's a good one.
I have to, also to add on to that point is, it's really cool on the travel days getting to meet other players and, seeing how'd you feel the start of the progression of the culture? Because I mean, the way you kind of explained it is like your class was the one who kind of started that from freshman year and then on to sophomore year and then junior year now. So like, how does it feel like progressed through the years, difference-wise? Do you feel like it's,
I think it's more prominent. And I think a lot of it I've seen. I was our media day coordinator almost for this year. my freshman year, we like never before had we had a media day, like never. And it's just something everyone loves to take photos.
Right.
Everyone loves their running photos. Like, you know, like we have, oh my gosh, us being Dodge College School of
It's
Film
the
and Media
CSPN
Arts.
in you.
It's the CSPN.
Yeah.
No, literally. Now, we have some people who are so talented with photography and they love like you know, snapping photos of you running at like track meets and
Right.
everything, and everyone eats them up. Like they love seeing themselves like on the camera. And so my sophomore year, so last year we had a media day, first time ever.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, like so excited,
Yeah.
like get to pose, like whatever, with their friends, and it was just so fun. Because then it's like you get to know everybody too, and everyone's like, oh, like can I have like my friend over? And we're like, yeah, like go, like pose, do your thing, and you hype them up, and it's just so fun.
That's awesome.
And then this year, I was in charge of it because. Unfortunately, the person who did it last year, he's not on the team anymore.
Okay.
And so I was like, all right, I'm like, let's do something this year. Just because one of, it's actually kind of funny. Shout out to Jaden. I love her so much if she's listening. Probably not, but that's okay. But she asked me in the weight room one day, she's like, Kaylee, when's media day? I was like, oh, I'm like, do I have to do that? She's like, is that me? I'm like, oh, shoot, okay. She's like, yeah, like I really want to be involved with it. And I was like, okay. Sounds good. Okay. I'm like, yeah, let's figure that out.
Yeah.
And so we did it on like a Friday, and we were there from like 8 to 4, but we did like a spreadsheet, and I just learned like everybody.
Yeah.
And so like
Oh, that's
as
awesome.
people are like waiting and everything, I'm like, oh, you, hey, how's
Yeah.
it going? Like you throw, I don't. How's it going?
Yeah.
And just trying out all these things, and you just get to know people, and you hype them up, and they're like, oh, like you know, people also get nervous.
Yeah.
They're like, They're like, do I look okay? You're like, let me fix the hair. Let me make sure you look good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really exciting. And then, oh my gosh, what was I gonna say? But so many people wanted to be a part of it.
Yeah.
People love it, and they really want it to go well for others. They
Yeah.
love like the social media. Social media is big,
Oh, yeah.
huge. Everyone loves the like reels from like other schools.
Uh-huh.
And so Jaden, who I just mentioned, she made a background
Oh,
for us
that's
to
awesome.
use. Like she had made a background. She's like, do you think this would look good? Would this be okay? And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, like for sure.
Yeah.
And the thing about Media Day is that we incorporated, it wasn't just like me doing it. We had a sprinter, Jaden's a thrower.
Yeah.
And then we had someone who's a jumper.
Yeah.
And so
Just
we
realized
all.
Yeah.
This is the Jaden we're thinking.
Yeah.
We had Jaden Ayala on the show.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
I grew up with her brother was my best friend growing up.
No way.
So,
Wow.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, she is such a
Yes,
sweetheart. I love her to
yes.
death. She was
Came
so.
from my hometown. That's
Oh
so funny.
my gosh! Shout out to her.
I thought about that for I was like,
Yeah.
Yo,
I
do
was
I
like,
know
man,
her?
I was like, oh,
Yeah.
I don't want to make
Yeah.
a mistake like there's another Jaden on the team
No,
or something.
oh my
but
gosh.
Yeah.
But she was so passionate, and she was like, yeah, like she's like, I'll talk to the throwers, and we'll like move the stuff out of the way.
awesome.
I'm like, you're awesome.
Yeah.
I
Thank
can't move it out of the
you.
way, so that's good. So she like,
perfect.
yeah. So it's like we all just worked together, and then we even pulled like kids from the cross country team. Just people from each event group had like a say,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which was really awesome.
That's
It wasn't just like me being my opinion.
yeah, exactly.
You know,
Right,
Exactly.
like, and then someone else maybe from
Yeah.
another event group doesn't get an opinion. Because also, the thing about it is people want different poses.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
to fit their event probably.
Exactly. So people want to hold the javelin. They want to like sprinkle sand because they're like a jumper, or like people want to do like the you know the Usain Bolt.
Oh, yeah.
They all want to do like yeah.
What was your pose, Kaylee?
I had a lot because I was running it literally, and anytime we had like a gap of time, I was like, throw me in there. Let me get some poses.
Here we go.
Yeah. I had like the telephone with the
Did you do a
the trash
Panther?
Shoe.
I did a pause
spikes.
up.
Pause
I
up.
did a pause
There we
up.
go. There we go.
I did that. I did like a arms crossed, and I had like the shoes
chain?
tied.
Oh,
No.
Like the
People did do the chain though.
Kirk
which
Cousins
was awesome.
chain?
Yeah.
Are you talking about like the spikes
gosh.
hanging around the
Yes,
neck?
exactly.
That one.
Okay.
That's
Yep.
tough.
That's a popular one.
That's
Yeah,
tough.
that's
That
tough.
was it was really funny though because it was like we had like those were my friend's shoes and his feet are so much bigger than mine. So like it was just these giant shoes like around my neck. I was like I'm like my shoes are like falling apart. So this
Yeah.
is like the only alternative here.
That's awesome.
Weighing you down a little bit too.
Yeah.
like-
I'm all like forward. Yeah. But yeah, it was really, really awesome. And I think that like bringing everyone together
Yeah.
too just brought like that community as well.
That is so cool.
Because it's like we know we're all on the same team and there's like 90 plus of us. And so it's just bringing people
Yeah.
together to like want to do that.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Great.
We got time for like one or two more. So
Okay, word.
I guess
make 'em
my
count.
Cut me off if I'm talking too much too. Like that is
No,
all
you're
good.
good.
I
This
know
is
I
great, this
chat
is
a
great.
lot.
My last one for you is like, what is your, or what has been your favorite memory within? It can be track, it can be just Chapman in general.
my
But like, what's been
gosh.
your favorite memory? It's probably hard to choose one, but
That is so hard to
Yeah,
choose.
yeah.
Got 5 seconds.
No, give me 5 seconds.
4.
Oh my gosh, I have a funny memory. I don't know if that's my favorite one, but
Those ones are always good.
it's really funny. I'll listen. I'll give her a listen here. My freshman year, we were at CMS running there, and it must have been like just a couple meets into the season.
Yeah.
I'm brand new.
Yeah.
Like I'm fresh.
Yeah.
Like, and I remember it was 4x1, and I've always ran second leg. Because the strategy there is you always want the people on the straights with the longest stride and the longest legs, and people with shorter strides and faster frequency on the curve. So then they lean into it faster. But oh my gosh, I think about this and I laugh. But my friend Kyra, she has given me the baton. She still gives me the baton today. She's first leg, and so because she gets out of the block so fast, and she was running. And I remember you put tape on the ground because when she steps on the tape, that's when you take off. Because it's a blind handoff, so you throw your hand back when she yells stick. And I remember something happened with our steps. I either took off early or she didn't. I don't know. It was a lot going on. But I remember I was so nervous, I think, and I think I probably just took off too early, and I just booked it. I just started
without
sprinting.
the baton.
Well, no, so the idea is that when she hits the tape, I book it and I keep running, and then she'll yell stick, and I'll throw my hand back, and she'll give me the baton.
Yeah.
So I just kept running. I heard no stick. There was nothing. And so I get to she must have ran like 130 meters.
That is funny. She
we were fully out of the exchange zone, and I'm fully still running. I think I ran 60 meters because that's how far I ran. Because then I kind of slowed down. I turned and I was like, "Where are you?" And then I was like, "Oh, she's really far back." So then I grabbed it from her and I turned around and I kept going. And I just remember when I turned around and I kept going, someone in the other lane had dropped their baton and kicked it, so it flew across my lane too. There was just so much going on. I was like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, how are we still in this?
Yeah.
And I fully just ran 60 meters. And I gave the baton to my third leg, and I was like, oh my god. I'm like, that was so bad. No one DQ'd us.
Wow.
I don't know how.
Kayak rules, baby.
I know.
Anything goes.
My coach is funny because he's always the person that's you should have been DQ'd. No way.
Yeah.
And I remember we were at Whittier one time, and this wasn't my team, but we had a B team go, and they just fully it was funny because the first leg and the second leg they messed up, so they just were out of the exchange zone, didn't pass off the baton, and one of my friends on the inside, he was like, go, keep going, keep finishing. She just ran without the baton and just kept going. And my coach was like, what are you doing? And he's fully white flag, red flag, DQ, are you kidding me? He's like, how are you not, he's the only one that's wanting to DQ them. He's like, how are you not seeing they have no baton?
That's hilarious. That's awesome. I think that might have been our last one, but that's a great story to end it on.
That's
So
great.
that was
That's so
perfect.
perfect.
Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah,
This was
of
awesome.
course.
This was great. But yeah, we will every Tuesday night, 6 p.m. Tune in. But yeah, thank you again, Kaylee. This was great. And yeah, we will see you next week. But have a great rest of your week. Let's see what song we got here. But have a good night.
Ducio.
Woo.